Long straights, tight chicanes, walls encroaching over you at every single point. A beautiful circuit as we head up to the north of the Americas, the very north of the Americas. We're here in Montreal, Canada for this. Bosra is here, the Synology GT3 Championship. After these few messages. Well, welcome here to Montreal, Quebec, Canada for what is another fantastic round. Round 10 here of the Synology GT3 Championship, streaming live on iRacing Live and brought to you by Racebot TV, sponsored of course by TMS Motorsport. TMS Motorsport offers a comprehensive range of tuning parts for all makes and models with great pricing and also some very, very quick delivery. Look out for them today on tmsmotorsport.co.uk. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag do you mind? Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth, joined alongside by Connery Maddock. Qualifying currently underway right now, Connery, and last time out I wasn't there, but who was turning up to the party was Ben Hackerson.
Yeah, he was. Benjamin Hackerson stepped up to the plate in his new McLaren that he switched to from the Mercedes, and well, what an impression it was. Pole position, an absolutely storming qualifying lap from Benjamin Hackerson, beat Iru Nom to the pole position, and he also managed to keep the current championship leader at bay during the race as well to pick up his first win and, well, the championship standings. And you're going to go over that, Jake?
Yes, we are. You can see here, 9-round score complete, 4 drop weeks available for you, and it's Iru Nom who holds a commanding lead at the top by a full 64 points as things stand from Craig Parks in the TMS Motorsports machine. Barry Baird of replaced space is third, with Neil Bamber getting ever so consistent there in 4th position. Tony Baird rounds out the top 5 for the moment, and there is Ben Hackerson jumping up to 6th. Connery, when you look at this championship, Iru's got 4 wins this season out of 8 starts, but the problem comes with his rival Scott Brazier. Brazier's got 3 wins to his name to Nom's 4, but the difference is Brazier's only done 5 races this season to Nom's 8.
Yeah, exactly, and Scott Brazier is at risk of using up all of his drop weeks. Right now, you only get 4 drop weeks over the course of the season, and Scott Brazier has used the vast majority of them, so if he misses any more races, then, well, he's going to be severely hurting in terms of points. And you have to remember, Iru Nom is a privateer in the series. That means he does not qualify for any prizes at the end of the season, and, well, Benjamin Hackerson does, the Baird brothers do, so that'll be an interesting fight come towards the mid part to end of the season, and well, if Iru Nom runs away with it.
Yes, and of course, Teams Championship up on screen as well. TMS Motorsports then hold the lead by just a very, very slender 8 points when all is said and done over the replace-based team, who have been so successful by just putting numbers up inside the top 10, the top 15. Synology aren't too far behind, nor are Bodine Solutions in this. And there you can see 5th and 6th going to Seagate and Acorn Printing right now. Connery, when you talk about that Teams Championship, it is very exclusively close.
Yep, it really is. 8 points between TMS Motorsport at the top of the table and Replace Space, who actually dropped down to that second place due to the results of the past race. Also a change during the past race as well. Synology up to third, Bodine Solutions in fourth, and that is relatively close as well. Just 12 points between those two teams, and well, Synology have really been helped by Benjamin Hackson's fantastic finish last time out, and well, hopefully they can get another good points haul today.
Yeah, qualifying time's currently up on your screen here, and we're looking at this. Dion Phillips has just finished his laps. He's just gone up onto the fourth row, and of course the last time I was here was back under the floodlights at Twingri in Motegi, and how close was he to a first podium of the season there? Row 4's really good for him, and when you look at how things are going right now, it's not exactly all Iru's way right now here, Connery.
No, it really isn't, as we got Neil Bamber on his qualifying laps right now. Iru Nom, he's done all 4 laps in qualifying, and yeah, he just headed down pit road, so no, we're not going to get a lap on board with him. But as I was saying, Iru Nom, he's done all 4 laps right now. Still 5 minutes left out on track for those that have not completed their 4 allotted lap times, but Iru Nom has completed all 4. He's not on pole position. That goes to Tony Baird at the moment, and Tony Baird has completed all of his laps. In terms of people still out there, I believe Neil Bamber's going to head his way out of the pit lane, but he's already completed all 4 of his allotted laps. So this grid looks to be set for the race start. We're just going to wait for the timer to tick over.
We certainly are here, and one of the key features that you see around a circuit like Montreal, this is a street circuit. You can drive these roads publicly after the races are done, and when you look at this circuit, it's very fast, it's very flowing, it's relying incredibly heavily on your high-end speed, but by the same volition though, Connery, you have to have incredibly good brakes around a circuit like this. So many circuits, or so many chicanes even, shall we say, there's at least a good 3 or 4 that you have to manage and negotiate through. It's almost like it's one type of corner and then one other corner, and that's down at the hairpin.
Yeah, exactly. Those are really the only viable passing places around this track, or at least the obvious ones, but if any drivers are particularly brave, then they can make it pretty much too wide anywhere they want, as long as they are brave enough. As Bamber is out on track, and yeah, as I just said, he is not on a qualifying lap time right now, but it just gives us something to watch right now as the timer ticks down. But yeah, this track has been absolutely fantastic over the past couple of years in all series that it has taken part in, and well, is anyone going to hit that Wall of Champions, coming up the final chicane? We'll just have to wait and see.
We certainly will. The Wall of Champions, of course, is that tyre barrier coming out of the final chicane. We saw in 1998, I think it was, so many drivers just collect that wall. Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Heinz-Harald Frentzen managed to hit that wall as well. So no driver is going to be safe out of there. And of course, this circuit holds a lot in sim racing folklore as well. Of course, the iRacing.com Grand Prix World Championship Series came here just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a certain Mr. Martin Kroenke who made it 3 out of 3. And of course, it also holds Kazuki Umeshima with a little bit of disappointment. How close was he in 2014 to getting that crucial first ever World Championship win? He was not close enough. There is Ben Hackson. He will round the final corner. He has come out of pit road, so his time will not count then as he looks to go and cross the line. He's currently there on the 3rd row as things stand, but it is pretty much safe to say here right now that qualifying is all but secured here, apart from the driver of Taylor Lane here. He'll have one more lap to do, Connery. When he crosses the line, it's do or die for him.
Yeah, it is 27 driver Taylor Lane. Well, behind the wheel of that Audi with the Scottish Saltire atop it, and well, he is he's got enough laps to improve his qualifying position if he so wishes. I believe this is his out lap right now, so when he comes across the line, he will still maybe not actually have time to complete another lap, and actually he's backing off for that one. Yeah, he's just backing off, and he's not going to have enough time to complete yet another qualifying lap, so he is going to start in that 26th qualifying position if nothing changes.
Well, I believe nothing will change between now and the end of qualifying, so I think it's very safe to say that the grid is as follows. Let's get ourselves then through this starting grid here at the 1/3 distance here at Montreal. It's the 004 machine of Tony Baird who takes pole, a 133.125. He's not safe. There's a Ford GT alongside of Iru Nom. Craig Parks then will start in the 3rd position with Scott Brazier, a 3-time winner so far this season, in 4th. JPW Ringwood, what a great qualifying from Jake there in 5th, with Ben Hackerson in 6th. Simon Underhill then will start in 7th position in the 007 machine. Dion Phillips starting there in 8th. Mathieu van Delden, what a great qualifying from him there in 9th. Joined alongside by everyone's favourite Norwegian in Soren Kroos. Then you see Daniel Page and Neil Bamber round out row number 6. JJ Rimmer is there in 13th alongside a familiar friend in Craig A. Williams. Adam Shipstone there in 15th, joined alongside by Mike Mason. Row 9 will see Captain Cook, John Cook that is, with Bran Reniers in 18th. 19th is Jason Dilworth with Martin Gelenke rounding out 20. Blackjack then for Phil Bedford in 21st with the gentleman John Roberts there in 22nd. Alan McCain and Ryan Walker will round out the row number 12. Row 13 is Jan Letzer and Taylor Lane. And then you can see Ryan Atmore and Paul Martin. Chris Butterill, the series organiser there in 29th position. 30th will go to Simon Jackson. Anthony Marsh then will start in 31st with Ricky Green and Daniel Bailey. And cars that have failed to settle lap time are Jonathan Beresford, Roel Huben, Lee Woodburn and Ben Coombs as well. Qualifying is officially classed as done. 2 minutes then will get yourself up onto the grid. Otherwise, you start from a place known as pit lane. 1 hour, and you find yourself with 1 pit stop being required. You have to get home, and you have to do it. Track conditions then. Cloudy in the air, 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 87 on the track. Winds coming in from the west of the circuit, and a rolling start as well. We'll be starting from the back straight. Connery, it will be a very, very interesting start, as it will be a very tight negotiation to the quick get and go.
Yeah, but it is, and when the green flag comes out, it is a relatively short run to the first corner, so most of your drivers will be side by side with at least one other driver come towards the first corner. Since the run is so short, it doesn't give you enough time really to get strung out single file as they start forming up just after the final hairpin here, so not a full pace lap. It'll be a short run under the pace car, and then the pace car will dive down pit road, and we will get started when they floor it out of the last chicane, which has the wall of champions. But this is the second time in a row, Jake, that Iru Nom has not started on pole position, and this time it's Tony Baird. Last time it was Benjamin Hackerson, and you've got to say though, I think the momentum in the series is shifting kind of away from Iru Nom at this moment in time. Maybe because of the balance of power changes that have come into effect recently, but I don't think that 4GT is looking as fast as it once was.
Balance of performance is certainly to be a key. Of course, Blank Pan this weekend. Let's get some words out. Join Paul Smith, myself, and also Randy Chenna for that one. That will be coming from Monza. 3 hours of action there. But for now, we're focusing here on Montreal. We're focusing here on the Synology GT3 Championship. Iru Nom, not for the first time this season, not going to start on pole position, which he has so easily made his own so far. You can see behind that roof pace car that they will have to negotiate past when that will dive onto pit road the moment they go. Just waiting then for the last of the cars to get onto the grid. They will start getting themselves going now and negotiating here this final little stretch. It's a nervous time as the pace car pulls away. One car will start then on pit road. Didn't quite catch who that was there, but that is going to be a key. Of course, 1 pit stop required. You're expecting that to come into play between around minutes 25 to 35. You can even try and stretch it to minute 40 here around this circuit, and it is one where you can be very effective on your fuel saving. You can really lift and coast into a couple of these corners if you are going to be a little bit tight on fuel. But there's just 1 chicane to go then as they negotiate the back straight. Pace car will pull itself off then. We'll go straight on. Baird will control the field then in the 004. We'll wait for the green to go. And you know what? He's going to go very, very early. He's caught everybody off guard then. Green flag will fly. And Tony Baird's got the jump on Iru Nom. Absolutely sensational to see that. Parks there trying to deal with it as well. You see Ringwood, Brazier, Hackerson, Underhill all down in towards turn number 1. And pretty single file they're going in through here, Connery. It seems that it was a very, very lazy start from loads of drivers towards the rear.
Yeah, and it seems like I was wrong. It looks like that chicane actually did string out the field before the green flag flew as they all file single file into the first chicane. Slight downhill, and then it's this very wide right-hander coming into the second chicane here at Montreal, as there's not really any battling side by side anyway going on at the early stages of the race. It looks like everyone's got through pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, they have here at the moment. You can see second place now, looking to try and challenge for first. Irunom has a look here on the inside. The car maybe not quite as suited here at Montreal. It's got to deal with the lefts and the rights here. You can see up all over the curbs then at the third chicane, looking towards this big hairpin turn number 10. Now Parks all over the back in a 002. May have a look here down the inside on the brakes here on the opening lap. No, not going to happen. It's going to wait behind. So they all concertina up. And you can see further back there, side-by-side action going in. A bit of contact there. That's JJ Rimmer coming together with Neil Bamber there, Connery. So JJ Rimmer struggling here. Now they're dealing with Adam Shipstone.
Yep, that was just on the brakes coming down into the hairpin. And, well, JJ Rimmer just went a tiny bit too deep, just outbroke himself. And then he was looking towards the race lead. This is going to be Irunom down the inside of the final chicane. He's going to get the position done. And there's a little bit of contact. That touch.
Oh, my word, and that's Tony Baird turned around with Craig Parks. Parks still hasn't stopped it, still trying to get going.
Drivers have to be careful here,
my word, right in the middle. And there's going to be a car turned around there, and it's collected Parks again. Adam Shipstone, we were just talking about him there. That's a big accident that we just seen in the middle of the circuit. Let's get a replay then up on screen of exactly how that came about. And you can see here on board with what is Tony Baird and Craig Parks and the incident that they had together there, Connery. Parks, you had to feel, tried to go around the outside with the gap that Nom left, but you could see Tony Baird, you know, he was a little bit forceful. Maybe didn't realize that he had the car there on the inside.
Yeah, but you also got to realize that iRacing do have spotters. Usually they're only used for oval racing, but they're implemented for this type of racing as well. And the spotter will be saying there's a car on your right-hand side coming out the corner, because he was even alongside during the sort of mid to late part of the chicane. He still tried to hang around the outside next to the wall of champions. And to me, I think Tony Baird just squeezed him out too much there and has wrecked his race as a result.
And that is the Wall of Champions then coming into effect. Not the way that people would have liked, but the Wall of Champions is there, but it does shake up the field. Nom now takes control of this race. JPW Ringwood is there in second position as we go back live. Scott Brazier up into third right now in another Team Bushvink aboard GT there. And Ben Hackson just sitting very quietly, very sullenly there in fourth position now here, Connery. So now what you have to say is this circuit, you could argue it should really suit the McLaren here. A lot of fast pace, a lot of high straights, but it seems that Ben Hackson not having as much love as Imola.
No, it doesn't seem to be that way as he heads his way down into turn one right now. That McLaren, the engine in the McLaren top line, straight line speed is really going to help him on the long straights, but in these tight corners, it's not really going to help as Neil Bamber gets a huge tank slapper on in the number 5 car, who's going to be battling with JJ Rimmer now as they come out of the final complex. As there's more drivers dropping down my timing screens right now. There is Craig Parks on pit road after that incident we saw coming out the final chicane. He'll get that fast repair done, but he's going to be quite a way down the field, and he's going to have to be scavenging for points.
Yeah, and you also have to remember here in this situation that he is going to have to make another pit stop. You can't do it all. And you look at J.J. Rimmer then in the 055 side by side then. Here's the head on the outside. He goes into this third chicane. Bamber on the inside, fourth in the championship, around the outside. But he goes too deep then, and he'll have to take the escape route then. And that's going to be a costly escape route because he's going to lose not to one position, but two. Soren Kruse there in the McLaren will go flying past then. And that is exactly what JJ Rimmer didn't want to do in that situation, Connery. You've got to commit to the corner, but at any given moment, you cannot outbrake yourself here.
No, you can't, as I just want to bring your attention back to the race for what is basically P2 right now. Scott Brazier, good run out of the final hairpin, won't make it side by side. We suspect coming into the final chicane. Last time by, actually, JPW Ringwood set fastest lap last time by. Let's see what the lap times are this time by when they come across the stripe. Lee Woodburn, 36, has having issues, but here comes Scott Brazier down towards the inside of turn 1 here at Montreal. JPW Ringwood, if he hangs it around the outside, he has the advantage for the second part of this first complex here. And here comes Benjamin Hackson as well. He's smelling blood off of Scott Brazier's hash of a move, trying to go down the inside of turn 1, but they have to be single file just for now. This is just letting Irunom get away at the front.
Yeah, you can see JPW Ringwood playing the cork in a 40-year-old bottle of wine right now. It just refuses to budge and refuses to move here. A little bit wide then on the apex through the mid part of the corner. He's slowing up everyone here. Doesn't really bother about this lead here. Nom is away and he has gone right now. The difference last time by 1.5 seconds. That says all you need to know about how Iru Nom is feeling about this racing right now. You can see third chicane coming up. Hackerson was close there heading through turn number 1, but he didn't quite get a good enough run. Wasn't daring enough to go down the inside here. And the more they hold each other up here, Connery, the more they're going to bring other drivers into play right now. Simon Underhill on the back as Hackerson has a huge look down to the inside and still keeps the nose there, but still can't quite get the run.
Yeah, but this is where the McLaren comes into its own on this very long back straight here at Montreal. He's just going to sit in the slipstream, the double draft of Scott Brazier as he maybe ever looking to have a move. Scott Brazier is just creeping to the middle of the track. Benjamin Hackerson has to decide which way to go. He's going to head his way down the inside for the first part. No, he's just going to back out of that one. Remember, Benjamin Hackerson has his Synology teammate in Simon Underhill behind him, so there's not going to be as much pressure from behind as he might have perhaps expected from another driver, so he can focus on trying to catch and pass Scott Brazier. Scott Brazier has a big look, very deep on the brakes coming down into turn 1, still not able to make the move.
He tried, it didn't quite work there. Maybe scare tactics coming into play in the early stages, maybe trying to just make himself known in the rear view mirror of JPW Ringwood, and it's not too uncommon to see that sort of move being done here in racing like this, because you do want to try and scare your opponent into making a mistake, running him off wide, maybe flash the headlights at your opponent a little bit, even though you're in broad daylight, just to get the attention a little bit more. And well, sometimes you can flash your lights way so much, and you can actually see again though, Brazier with a stunning run here on Ringwood, who ran a little bit wide coming out of the corner, almost clipped the wall coming out of turn number 7 into 8 and 9 on the brakes again, and again you can see just using all of the circuit, and Hackerson gets held up now and Underhill wants to go.
Yep, and Benjamin Hackerson may be poised to make a move coming down into the final hairpin. If he holds around that outside line, he's going to try it. He's going to head his way around the outside of the hairpin on the brakes. Gets it stopped very well, but he's going to lose the advantage. There's a little bit of contact behind. Simon Underhill almost turned by Dion Phillips in that Audi right there. As we look back towards that one car of Benjamin Hackerson, he's going to take it side by side here, coming down the back straight. He'll have the benefit of the draft of the car ahead of JPW Ringwood as he just sucks up a little bit, but no, he's going to back out the move. Not brave enough to go side by side through the final chicane at this stage in the race.
You don't want to be trying to make that move early enough. You have to wait for the opportunity to happen, maybe towards the final laps of the race. It will work in your favor. 8 minutes already done in this race. The lead now is up to 5.5 seconds, almost 6 seconds here for Iru Nom now. He's dominating. You can see Underhill under pressure. Dion Phillips, little touch. Down the inside will go to driver Daniel Page and take a page out of that book then. He gets the position on Dion Phillips, goes up into what is now 6th position on circuit. Daniel Page is +5 for today. He is moving here, Connery.
Yeah, he really is. Tied with the biggest mover inside your top 10. Craig A. Williams is also up 5 positions as well. The biggest mover in your race so far is currently the number 16 car, Paul S. Martin, as there may be some battling maybe between, yes, there's this John D. Cook, Phil Bedford, and John M. Roberts is down in the field as well. John M. Roberts, 56 car, just very, very loose, and he's just dropping quite a lot of positions. He's got quite a lot of damage to the rear end of that GT3 car, so he hasn't had the best day at the office. And there's some good fighting going on in this mid-pack right now. This train from Martin Galenki all the way down to Jan Milteveld.
Yeah, you can see this fantastic train that's going on here. And well, Gentleman John lost a couple of positions there. He won't be too happy about that now. As you can see, Galenki trying to pull away then in this middle pack right now. Good run for Mathieu van Delden, though, in what is the 008. Trying to get back past Craig A. Williams. He will move and pull alongside, but he will be forced to go around the outside then here. Will the 008 machine in that McLaren? You can see latest on the brakes. Tries Craig Williams. He's going to hold the position then and get that one really nicely there through the Wall of Champions section, and you can see he holds that position against Mathieu van Delden. Now moves +6 then for his day so far, and now the gap's opening up a little bit here between this first pack and the second here. So the battling here, Connery, you can lose upwards of 2-3 seconds just by trying to send it 2 by 2 around a very narrow circuit like this.
Yeah, I think perhaps the best example of that, while GP3 Ringwood and the Hackson, Scott Brazier and Simon Underhill were all fighting, they have dropped what is now 6.8 seconds on the relative timings to Iru Nom. So Iru Nom's absolutely flying. He's setting very, very quick lap times indeed. He holds the fastest lap of the race by quite a margin. I believe he's holding it by about, well, half a second right now. That's very impressive pace from Iru Nom, and well, I think he is being given this race a gift as long as nothing else happens to him, because of that earlier incident coming out of the final chicane where his basically closest competitors got themselves into a little bit of a tangle, shall we say.
They did get themselves into a tangle. The stewards will be looking at that one after the racing is complete here at Montreal. Remember, you got to drive in the moment. You can't be thinking, oh, what if I get this? What if I get that? You have to commit then to the abilities that you have during the racing action right now. And that has been the key then for certain drivers in the way they've gone. Remember, Iru Nom has already served a one-race ban in this series. That has been for comments that he said coming out of Road America. That was a while back, almost 2-3 months ago now, Connery. So, you know, it's not a case of being uncommon here with these stewards. They know what they do, and they aren't afraid to give penalties.
No, they aren't. And oh, this is still a very close battle. But for P2 between GP3 Ringwood and Scott Brazier. Scott Brazier very, very deep on the brakes in pretty much every single heavy braking zone, trying to find a gap if one appears. And again, even in the minor braking zones, he still goes much, much deeper than GP3 Ringwood, perhaps a little bit more confident there in the braking zones.
Yeah, he is a lot more confident in that Ford GT. You can see just how nimble it is. It's like it's compressed to the ground. It's like a sandwich, you could say. And then you put it in a toaster and it just makes itself a lot shrink down. And you can see right now, Scott Brazier all over the back now. Again, defensive goes the driver of JPW Ringwood. And you can see he's looking for that opportunity. No, not happening then. Trying to get that cut back up and under. And he gets a good run actually on the up and under. But again, he's on the outside though, heading towards that final chicane. I'll try and work out what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, but at the moment I just don't have the foggiest.
Well, I guess I'll take it from here as they head side by side coming into the hairpin. The Scott Brazier almost runs into the back of JPW Ringwood. There may have been a tap right there, so that was pretty much a mess of a final hairpin.
Oh my word, Page and Underhill, they've both gone off there, and look at that, going side by side, going through. There is a small kink to the right there as you head through that section. Underhill running out of, oh, he got a huge wiggle there. Look at the replay, look at Simon Underhill then. He goes through that corner, he is unsettled by the car on the right-hand side, gets that huge wiggle, and Page, an innocent bystander there, Connery.
Yep, nothing he could have done about that. That was all, well, Simon Underhill's doing right there. Nothing Daniel Page could have done to avoid that. It's just one of those things in racing. Sometimes you get into incidents that, well, you can do absolutely nothing about, and that was just an example of one of them. And this is not going to do Synology any favors in the team's championship.
Oh, they touched! Oh my God, Ringwood and Brazier have touched, but that's through. Goes Scott Brazier, now Hackerson trying to get the scrappy seconds, and you can see around the outside, then inside for this next section. Thank you very much, and JPW Ringwood will have to wait behind. Now we get to understand the true pace here of the drivers of what is Brazier and what is also Ben Hackerson in this situation. Remember, Hackerson had an abysmal start to the season here. He's looking to recover it in the new vehicle, and you can see just how much time's already been gained.
Yeah, exactly. So Benjamin Hackerson definitely trying to look to take the fight for P2 to Scott Brazier. I don't think they've had an on-track battle since Benjamin Hackerson has moved to that McLaren as he goes, makes a bit of a mess of the braking zone coming down into the hairpin. Doesn't put him under threat though from JPW Ringwood. But this will be interesting to see, this battle between Scott Brazier and Benjamin Hackerson, if it closes up, because it'll be the first time that Benjamin Hackerson has faced Scott Brazier in his new cars. I'm looking down the field right now. There's still this decent mid-pack fight going on between the 52 of John Cook. Phil Bedford looks down the inside at the hairpin. Not going to make it though. The door is shut, but he may have an opportunity coming out of the hairpin. No, he's not going to get the run he needs. There's also a battle behind between Paul S. Martin and Alan McCain in the 16 in his hand.
And you can see here they're going to try and go side by side, too wide, too deep. Bedford then down to the inside again on Captain Cook, and Cook's got nothing on him then as the sheer grunt coming out of the corner just convincingly helps the driver there of Wallacefield Bedford. Huge lunge down the inside though, just behind. Thank you very much, says Alan McCain. He'll take the position on Martin. Bran Ramirez there is just waiting behind, and there is a spinner there as well, and that is the driver of Gentleman John Roberts, and he'll have to get that one turned again, and nope, he's hit the wall. He'll have to wait, and that's Taylor Lane getting there, and there is contact when all was said and done. That's a big shame there, and that was Ben Coombs getting the touch there, Connery.
Yeah, it was a very tricky, car on the track to avoid right there. He did come back across the track, but then he put himself into the wall of champions right there. It could be a good sign that he may be a champion in the future, but definitely not when you're doing that.
Oh, and there's contact again. Chris Butterill turned around at turn number 1 by Simon Underhill, trying to make the recovery. So Simon Underhill, he just can't seem to get out of the walls right now, Connery. As you're looking at that one, let's try and catch that one. It's only just happened just after. You can see, just trying to get himself on the brakes. 2 into 1, it doesn't go into there.
Yeah, but that was basically the series admin and Chris Butterill right there, just being turned in the middle of the track just after turn 1 by the Synology driver right there. So it's not really advisable to anger basically the stewards of the race during the race.
Yeah, that is seemingly to be a good, not a good idea, shall we say, in terms of the racing right now. John Cook again under threat. Alan McCain getting a good run then out of the corner. Needs to make this one work in terms of his favour right now. You can see gets a fantastic run coming out of the chicane, out of the hairpin even, run to the chicane, and he's straight down the inside. And Captain Cook here, maybe he's running a high downforce setup here, Connery, because that's not the first time he's done it. And you can see a little look to the inside from Paul Martin. Wasn't too akin to having a little stab, but it didn't work for him.
Yeah, he was just having a look, and I can't help but notice damage to the front left of John Cook's car right now. That may be hurting him in a straight line. Maybe some engine damage in the, because the engines are in the front of that Mercedes as opposed to in the middle, I believe it is for the Audis. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Jake, but yeah, this is going to be a good fight here again for these positions just outside the top 10, P13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, all within sight of each other, or could potentially make a move on each other.
Dion Phillips then in the 43, looking around the outside of JPW Ringwood. No, not going to happen into the hairpin for 4th position on circuit. Ringwood then, he runs a little bit wide coming out of the exit, gets a good run on the traction, but Dion Phillips is right there in the Audi against what is that driver of JPW Ringwood. You can see now, using the slipstream to his advantage, just waiting the gap, 2/10, 1/10 of a second. We'll have to do it the long way around then when they come to the chicane, and they'll lose a lot of time of Haxon and Brady. You can see a little pinch then to the outside there for Dion Phillips, and that loses all momentum through the corner. Here comes Craig Williams now, just going to take advantage of that one, and that's some very good car placement from Ringwood. It allows Williams to get the opportunity to try and go down the inside into turn number 1, and you know what? It's not over just yet.
No, it isn't, as they head their way too wide coming through the first complex. And oh, there's Dion Phillips going to get a very good drive coming out of there. Still, he's going to edge his way in front, maybe by the time of the braking zone. Yeah, he still secures that position, still defends that position for now. But this is just dropping time to JPW Ringwood. But I got to say, Craig A. Williams, absolute charger throughout the field. 14th to 6th place right now. He's looking for another one. Look at how lively that car is behind Dion Phillips.
Neil Bamber's lost the position, enter JJ Rimmer into that chicane that we have just seen, but again, Craig Williams right now with Dion Phillips. You can see Dion Phillips holding on for the moment. He's running some really good lap times, but the problem he has here, the moment he gets up to JPW Ringwood, he just knows where to place a car. It's not the quickest way to get around the circuit. It's not the one that gets you the overall time when all is said and done, but it is a way to hold track position around this circuit, and that's exactly what he's looking at here. Just trying to score as many points as he can by stopping the hemorrhage as much as he possibly can. The pit stop window will start to change things, Connery, though, and that is coming along in about 8 minutes' time.
Yep, it will, as Neil Bamber and JJ Rimmer fight yet again coming into the final hairpin, and that's going to be JJ Rimmer making his way down the inside. A bit of mistiming on the brakes for Neil Bamber, just pushed him a little bit wide onto the onto the outside of the corner, and he's going to lose that position as a result. He's closing up towards the final hairpin here if we go to the live on the live picture right now, but he's not going to make a move just yet, as we've seen a few brave souls do.
Yeah, look at John Cook, though, here once again. He's under pressure from Paul Martin. Martin's going to get a good run here, and there's the wounded vehicle. The stricken John Cook, then, is going to have to relinquish that there's a hole maybe in his boat, and that's one car, then, that's going to get himself through. He's going to try late on the brakes. They touch, but you know what? They hold it together. Raniers tries to go around the outside, but that's not going to work when you see the parabola that John Cook was trying to take there. So they hold themselves together there, Connery. Could have ended with one in the wall.
Yeah, exactly, and the lack of straight line speed isn't really helping the driver of the 52, John Cook, right now, as he makes a bit of a mess of on Daniel Page's spun.
Yeah, Dan Page is really not having the day he wanted. He spun it down at the final chicane, waiting for the gaps then to come along. There goes gentleman John Roberts, who's gone through that replay up on screen about how he has exactly done that one. And oh my word, he just, that's a horrible one. And John Cook also has managed to spin. So it's a horrible hit for Daniel Page. Cook has managed to spin the car as well. So, you know,
I don't think it's spin, Jake. He just mistimed his braking point into what is the fifth chicane here at Montreal, and had to take a little bit of a trip down into the escape road, and then had to do basically what is an Austin Powers move to try and get himself out.
Well, they do have a reverse gear, I do believe, here on this car. And for John Cook, he's got himself going again. But that was very eerily similar to Felipe Massa. About 4 or 5 years ago in the Ferrari, he managed to lose himself down there. And he managed to actually hit the reverse gear, did Massa at that stage, to get the car back out. It's not the easiest escape road to escape from.
No, but then you also have that situation where you're reversing back onto a live track with traffic coming. So I can see why he did what he did, not wanting to have that, lack of visibility. As we go to JPW Ringwood and Dion Phillips, they are still very, very close on that track right now, and they're joined by a couple of others. Daniel Page 1 lap down, and Craig A. Williams is still on the back of this fight as well. So now it's basically a 3-car fight for what is basically your 4th place on the track.
Page is going to just dive himself out of the way there at the front of that one. Now moves to the rear on the brakes into this 3rd chicane on circuit. You can see, though, it's just a case of trying to wait to get the power on. Ringwood holds that power on very nicely in that Mercedes, and we know that the Mercedes has itself a very high gear ratio. When it gets to that high gears, it makes it very difficult to get past. And you can see Phillips all the way down to the rear bumper when he gets down onto the brakes. And again, though, he just loses all that time coming out of the corner because he's so much checked up through the mid-path. Williams isn't going to go away, though, in this one. But again, you have to talk about a leader here, Connery. The gap's 11 seconds.
Yeah, it is, and Ironom, well, if you look at the lap times, last time he did a 34.5 as opposed to Scott Brazier's 34.7, so that is 0.2 of a second advantage to what is your race leader right now in Ironom. But that time by, actually, just as they were coming across the start-finish line, Scott Brazier, 0.5 tenth faster than Ironom. Is the tide shifting? We'll just have to wait and see.
0.5 tenth of a second. It's going to take a lot of 0.5 tenths of a second, if you ask me, if he's going to catch down Ironom. And you can see here right now, everyone just trying to find that battle. Everyone looking to try and get into that position. You see still here the driver of JPW Ringwood holding on to things right now in terms of this one. Just checking himself there. That gap about 0.5 second here back to Dion Phillips. You can see Craig A. Williams all over the back, just searching for a way through around here. And once you get stuck here, Connery, you're stuck for a very long time unless you know where to probe for a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. It can be also be a quite narrow track in places, and the walls come very, very close as well, as we see Dion Phillips again very close to the back of the rear bumper of JPW Ringwood, but still not able to make the pass, and this compromises the exit of his corner, maybe gives an opportunity to Craig A. Williams coming down into the final chicane. Will he make his way around the outside of the hairpin? He does try it, maybe taking a wider line so he can get a good exit coming out of the hairpin, but it doesn't happen. That Audi seems to have much better traction coming out of the slow speed corners than the Mercedes of Craig A. Williams.
He was trying the good old up and under, and the good old up and under didn't work for him. Williams is going to try again here to try and get into that toe, but you can see again, though, the driver of what is JPW Ringwood, the toe is coming into effect for Dion Phillips. It's keeping everyone alive. Sturdy hits the wall at champions, and that's going to be a gift and for Craig A. Williams. He's going to have to do it the long way around here on Dion Phillips. He is so lucky that he's continuing on with that, but that was a very hairy, scary moment. The position is lost.
Yep, he's not the first to hit that wall and certainly will not be the last. And, well, he's not the first to even hit it during this race either. But he's just going to lose that position to Craig A. Williams. And, well, it's just scraped up the right-hand side of that Audi. Don't think it's going to affect him too much in terms of damage. But this just basically releases Craig A. Williams to maybe try on JPW Ring and try and pass him because Dion Phillips was failing.
Yeah, you can see, though, a different battle. The 003, Jason Dilworth having a look to the inside. No, that's not going to happen on Bram Reniers. Martin there, just ahead of them as well. 3-car battle then for what is P15 on circuit. You can see just how close they are. They're nose to tail as they head themselves towards 3 and 4 on circuit right now. And it's not the easiest place to make that move. You've got to be committed all side by side out of 2 to make it happen through this very tight, very difficult section. This corner, this right-hander there, it's just so easy to think it's flat. It's not. Dilworth drives around the outside. And again, though, Connery just still unable to make it happen.
No, not able to do it just yet as Bram Reniers and Paul S. Martin ahead of him get a good run out of the corner. There's some side-by-side racing between the 10 and Alan McCain and Phil Bedford, number 37. Phil Bedford going to make that pass done very, very easily, coming down the inside of the 3rd chicane. And, well, is he going to defend that position coming down to the hairpin? We have to wait and see. Alan McCain has a good run coming out of that chicane, but he's going to back out of the move just for now.
Scary moment down at the final chicane. Daniel Bailey reversed back onto circuit and almost managed to collect JPW Ringwood in the process of that. And Martin has spun as well. That is not what he wanted there. Paul S. Martin running into issues down at the hairpin, I believe it was. And that was a horrible... No, he just ran wide when all was said and done. Just way too deep on the brakes and had to try and just check it back up. Lucky he didn't hit the wall, but that's 2 positions, Connery. So easy.
Yep, and we already have drivers down pit road. Bram Reniers, number 35, going to be the first one to blink in terms of scheduled stops right now. So he's going to head his way down pit road, maybe get that fast repair to repair the damage to the front end, and also get that fuel towards the end of the race as the driver stream by on his right-hand side.
Yeah, and of course that pit stop is going to be so difficult. When you come out of pit road, you actually filter into turn number 2. So when you get back going, a car that's side by side with you as you just exit won't be side by side when you get to the end of the pit road exactly. So when you look at this one, it is going to be a case of who blinks first, who comes in. Dion Phillips has lost the position then to Craig A. Williams, and Iru Nom makes an early one then. He's decided, you know what, I found a gap somewhere maybe that could work in my advantage. 39, 40 miles an hour there, Connery, down the pit road. It feels like an eternity.
Yeah, and you can actually just see why he decided to come down pit road that time by, because he had a grand total of what was basically 5 bits of lap traffic ahead of him, so you can understand why he pitted then instead of later, so try and mitigate the damage that the traffic might have done to his race.
Dion Phillips also in then in the 043 out of 6th position on the road. So, you know, drivers coming in, drivers coming out then soon. As you can see right now, that is the driver of what is John Cook then, trying to get himself back out and going again. Normal looking, we trying to get looking and going out now. He does, but you can see, and you can just see, he just gets himself going. And there is a bit of traffic ahead of him, though. That is Daniel Bailey and that is Neil Bamber. So he's filtered out inside the top 10 still. That's exactly what he wanted.
Yep, exactly, and that was a pretty smooth start from Iru Nom. Couple more drivers down on pit road. Dion Phillips, Martin Blanky, Phil Bedford, Ryan D. Walker, all down on pit road right now. Scott Brazier will inherit the race lead, provisional race lead for now, since he hasn't headed his way down pit road, but we can expect to see that soon, as there may be trouble with that 004.
Yeah, the 004 running into a few issues there. That's the driver of Tony Baird. So Tony Baird having a horrible evening after starting from pole position. You can see just coming down into what is that chicane. There were 2 wide ahead of him, Reniers and Coombs. He just got a big tap there on Ben Coombs. Coombs, another driver who's been struggling all day long. So, you know, it's not working out in favour. And actually, you're going to see now here the driver of Tony Baird say, thank you very much. I will take that position and cash that one in at the bank. So now you can see Ringwood under pressure again from Williams now. Williams there on the back, but unable to really commit to that move. A little drift there through the final corner, and a spin there, Connery.
Yeah, spin just coming out of turn number 2 between the number 33 Anthony Marsh and the number 15 of Chris Butterhill. Chris Butterhill perhaps a little bit too brave on the brakes coming down into that second, well, what was basically a right-hander, and just tagged the car of Anthony Marsh around.
Yeah, we also saw Daniel Page make a spin at the final corner, so Page is having an awful day also. So you can see he just tries to get himself going, and all of this happening in front of Irunom, your race leader here, and it's 3 cars going at it, and they've got to be careful here when all is said and done, because if any of them are fighting for position, they have every single right to be in that battle and continuing on their merry way right now. You can see, though, the gap, though, at the front between Brazier and Haxon, not relative for the race lead, though. That opened up to 2.5 seconds, Connery. And for Ben Haxon, he's just not had the pace of Brazier, who you felt was incredibly stuck behind that driver there in 4th position, 3rd on the road right now, JPW Ringwood.
No, it's got Brazier going quite a few tenths of a lap faster than Benjamin Hackison. The battle between JPW Ringwood and Craig A. Williams is still on, as actually JPW Ringwood goes wide in the final hairpin, and Craig A. Williams just smelling an opportunity, not able to take it though. He's going to have a terrible run coming out of the final hairpin right there, and there's quite a bit of traffic ahead of them. Drivers on the tail end of the lead lap, drivers that have pitted, and it's a very, very tricky pit entry here, because the drivers that are pitting are basically going full speed much longer than the drivers that are actually taking the corner. So if you're a driver behind wanting to go to pit road, you have to be really careful not to run into the back of the driver ahead.
Yeah, you really do. Starting lap 20 then, it's the driver Craig A. Williams onto the brakes into turn numbers 1 and 2. You can see he's just not close enough to really affect JPW Ringwood, who is just going to be steely, almost impervious then to any form of overtake that's trying to happen right now. As you saw, it took one move from what was Scott Brazier to make it happen. Ben Haxon had to take advantage in the moment, and that's when he got past. For drivers like Craig A. Williams, they haven't managed to make that move past, and it will also be interesting to see when the driver of, say, the likes of, you look at maybe a Dion Phillips here, Connery, you just see the lap times that he does. If he's doing some very, very nice and very quick lap times, JPW Ringwood could be jumped, and so could Craig A. Williams.
Yeah, but actually Irunom's encountering just a little bit of traffic right now, because he made that early stop. Another driver down on pit road, Ryan Atmore, he's going to make his way down pit road, but Irunom is hitting this traffic. I guess it was kind of inevitable. He was just deciding when he wanted to hit the traffic, before the pit stops or after the pit stops. He elected to hit it after the pit stops. He's just going to try and make his way by Daniel Page. He's also got Neil Bamber, that will be for position when he gets around to it, and also John D. Cook ahead of them if they don't pit this time by. So Irunom in a little bit of trouble with traffic, but I don't think he's worried because of the buffer, the gap that he had coming down pit road.
Yeah, that is something that has to be taken into effect. As Scott Brazier decides he's going to stay out, so does Ben Haxon in this situation. JPW Ringwood, though, is going to dive himself onto the lane. He's had enough, and he's going to get himself then down in as far as things stand right now. So the question is, where will he fall out then in terms of this, compared to the driver, say, of Dion Phillips here? Dion Phillips is just rounding the hairpin right about now. So for Dion Phillips, he needs this now to get that big hurry up, that big get up and go. And Connery, for the moment, that Audi has been running some pretty consistent lap times.
Yeah, he has, and the number 43 driver just going to head his way down the back straight. JPW Ringwood is going to be stationary in his box to get his mandatory fuel service, to get fuel towards the end. Here comes Dion Phillips. He's going to pass pit entry right about now, down on the brakes towards the hairpin. JPW Ringwood still stationary right now, about 20 seconds stop it should be, and yes it is. He's off and away. And now where is Dion Phillips going to come out? Well, is he going to come out in relation to Dion Phillips? And Dion Phillips very well behind right there. JPW Ringwood has made a good stop right there.
So not the best outlap, not the best pit stop then for Dion Phillips. He loses out when all is said and done, but what this has done, it's released Craig A. Williams here, so when he comes down onto lane, that will be beneficial to look at the timings in terms of that one then in the mid part of your battling that has been going on the field. Spreads out in this section, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those stages where you look at endurance racing as a whole, and sometimes it's not 1 second, not 2 seconds, sometimes it's 5 or 10. In comes then Scott Brazier, the race leader at current, who expected to lose that one back though to Irunom in the 041. Brazier was very nice coming down onto the brakes, but Haxon stays out once again. He will re-inherit the lead as Craig A. Williams has to respond.
Yeah, he does, as Craig A. Williams heads his way down onto the lane right now. And, well, that's going to be very interesting when Jason Dilworth is going to head his way out of the final chicane, where he comes out in relation to him. We'll just have to wait and see. But well, Craig Williams again stopped in his box. Also, it was actually the battle between JPW Ringwood, as I get the names mixed up. JPW Ringwood is going to be heading his way down the back straight, so let's see where he comes out, or where Craig A. Williams comes out in relation to JPW Ringwood.
I don't blame you. Jason Dilworth just ahead of him right now. Track position there for the moment for Dilworth, but he's still yet to come in and make his stop. You can see coming out of pit road now is Craig A. Williams waiting for that green cone, and he's just going to hit it then as they match side by side. I expect them to be when they go through, and Williams has the jump for the moment. Can't take that line. He gets the jump, and Craig A. Williams finally beats the blockade. That's exactly what he needed to do there, Connery.
Yep, and that was a classic bit of pit stop strategy right there, going a little bit longer. And well, there's not really a great outlatch on JPW Ringwood, just put him behind just the fraction of a second. So that means he wasn't able to take it side by side or be ahead of Craig A. Williams as he was coming out of the pit lane. And now let's see what Craig A. Williams can do. It is quite a gap to the driver, or the drivers of Scott Brazier and Benjamin Hackerson when the fuel stop's completed. Oh, JPW Ringwood very deep on the brakes, almost running into the back of Craig A. Williams right there. And wow, that was quite a misjudgment of the braking zone.
Yeah, you can see he was in so deep. He's lucky that he's only managed to survive here without hitting one of those fabled barriers, those concrete barriers. And you look at Craig A. Williams right now, trying to make his way then past the driver, Jason Dilworth. That one for position on circuit, but not for position in terms of the racing action right now. Hackerson stays out again here, so he's really going long here on this stint right now, Connery. I think it's a brave decision from Hackerson, but he is using that fuel very lightly, very difficult to very different even to the McLaren of a year ago, which was very heavy on fuel.
Yep, and actually he set the fastest lap time of anyone that time by, so he's definitely flying in that McLaren at the moment in time, setting some good in-laps, shall we say. More drivers down on pit road, a gaggle of cars. Magnus van Delden, Soren Cruz, Neil Bamber, Jason Dilworth, Paul S. Martin, all down on the lane, so the lane is very busy right now.
The lane is Jan Letzver then will also try and dive himself onto the lane. JJ Rimmer has managed to get away then from Brandon Reniers when all was said and done, and now you're looking at this here. You're looking at the timer when it comes on, it ticks down, and you can actually see here in terms of the racing, there are drivers who are getting stuck. Dion Phillips is stuck now behind the driver Mathieu van Delden. Van Delden even got the jump in terms of that one. So for the driver Dion Phillips, that is horrible for him. He's now lost a lot of track position then from what was looking like a very easy top 5 for him, and Ben Hackerson coming in as well. So now it's a case of Hackerson versus Brazier.
Yes, it is, as Benjamin Hackerson, he's going to head his way down into his box. And, well, he's not going to be challenging Iru Unom, that is for sure. But Scott Brazier et al., well, maybe that will be one to look out for. Scott Brazier, he's going to head his way down the, well, he's almost hits the middle of the back straight just as Benjamin Hackerson gets stopped in his pit box. Again, we have to reiterate, around about 20 seconds is the stop here that we're seeing from most of your drivers. Scott Brazier is going to head out at the final chicane, coming down towards the start-finish line. Benjamin Hackerson still stopped in his box, and that's not going to be good for Benjamin Hackerson. There goes Scott Brazier, and well, he's lost the, well, he's not managed to gain the position right there, does Benjamin Hackerson. But look, that gap is closer than when I last saw it when they came into the pits.
Exactly, though. So Ben Hackerson, even though he couldn't make the position, he's kept himself in the fight. There's the difference then in terms of that. It will be demoralising for him to see himself in the position that he is right now. Chris Butterill jumps out of pit road in front of JPW Ringwood. Dion Phillips still looking, though, at Mathieu van Delden when all is said and done. But you are still seeing here some pretty great battles going on. Phil Bedford now trying to get onto the back of the driver of Bran Reniers here. This is for round P13 here on circuit. Into the right, into the left. You can see Reniers a lot more confident through that section than Bedford was. Bedford loses about half a second there just because he was a little bit timid there, not afraid, a little bit more afraid, shall we say, to attack those sausage curbs, Connery. It's a love-hate relationship with them. You don't want to use too much of them because it might unsettle the car and find you in a wall, but you want to use them to really minimise how much you're turning through that chicane.
Yeah, and that's quite a shame because Phil Bedford, not Phil Pedford, as I was about to say, but he was actually on a very good lap time last time by, except for that final chicane as we look towards Dion Phillips.
He's trying to look down the inside, and he gets Chris Butterill, but he's still looking, though, at the driver of Mathieu van Delden. Audi versus McLaren then down this straight, and it's going to be a nightmare here for the driver of Dion Phillips to try and make this work. He'll have the toe, but will he have the top-end speed to do it? He's closing, though. He'll move to the inside and try it down into the final chicane, and he needed to make this one for P6. He's latest on the brakes, and he gets the position sorted just for the time being. Trying to get that one back then is Mathieu van Delden, but for Van Delden, it doesn't work in. Butterill comes in a second time. Speeding in pit lane potentially has not helped him in that scenario. But what we can say here in terms of this one is Dion Phillips finally breaks himself forward.
Yes, he does, and that is pretty much all of your drivers that have headed their way down pit road for their mandatory fuel stop in this race, due to the fact that this race is fuel limited. So maybe we can go through the decisions right now, Jake.
Yeah, we can, and it's Irunom who holds the advantage with just 20 minutes left to go in this event. 12 seconds plus then to the driver of Scott Brazier, also his teammate. But you've got to remember, Brazier is a little bit worried here. Ben Hackson isn't too far behind, can't afford to slip off the gas. There is the reigning champion there in third position, Craig Williams. What a run he's having. He's plus 10 for the day, and he's up into fourth overall. Has broken away massively from the driver of JPW Ringwood. Dion Phillips is closing in as a Raider Knott's there in sixth position. Just got past Mathieu van Delden in seventh. Soren Cruz, a quiet day for him, but it's been a very effective day. Plus two there. He's there in eighth position. Ninth there is the ever consistent Neil Bamber, who's doing so well in that AMG Mercedes. And 10th, though, is up sixth position. That is Mike Mason, who has been very astute with the way he's been making moves, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of biggest movers during your race, inside the top 10 is going to be Craig A. Williams, as we expected. He's currently in the P4 position right now. But in terms of the whole race, well, that one is tied between Alan McCain and Paul S. Martin. So they have gained 12 positions each. So good day for those drivers, but a bad day for drivers like Simon Underhill. He's down 10 positions.
Yeah, and we have lost a couple of drivers as well, the likes of Lee Woodburn. Craig Parks 2 laps down. You can see JJ Rimmer, though, in the 55, trying to attack the 003 of Jason Dilworth. This one then going on for what is 12th position. You can see just how much he is close during that session. Down the inside, he tries to go. He's going to be pinched, trying to go for the up and under. A little bit of contact between the two off the exit. But again, though, you can see Dilworth struggling here, and Renier's then in a little bit of issues as well behind.
Yep, he is, and this is in the final chicane, and he got it all wrong, all by himself. Just took a bit too much of that inside curb at the first part, and heavy into the wall of champions as well.
Yeah, well, you are still seeing the battles that are continuing. Dion Phillips now trying to get into P number 5. JPW Ringwood then is going to be looking to try and hold on to yet another position. He's gone from 5th on the grid back to 5th, was as high as 2nd position at one stage, was leading the race even, was trying to get into the place to lead the race at earlier stages. But now Dion Phillips trying to get that run out of the hairpin, the prime overtaking opportunity into that final chicane, and again, he's there about 0.3 of a second. That's not enough here, Connery, to make that work. You've got to be almost tucked in right underneath that bumper to make it work, but he is trying to close, and the defensive line has to be taken then by JPW Ringwood, and you can see he's going to have to be a little bit slower through there because he wasn't all the way to the left-hand side of the circuit.
Yeah, the draft used to be enough from that distance, but since the iRacing have changed the way the draft model works for these GT3 cars, the draft isn't really as effective as it once was. They negotiate the lap traffic right there. Ben Coombs making his way on the outside of the corner, just letting these guys by very, very courteously. As Dion Phillips well, that car is squirming on the exit of turn 2 right there. They're going to heat up those rear tires, not going to help him towards the end of this race, but he's still close to JPW Ringwood. And I guess, JPW Ringwood actually didn't take the fast repair, I can see, during his fuel stop. He still has damage to the front end of that car. I don't know if that was a wise decision.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It is going to be affecting his fuel consumption, his top speed, how the car is handling. Maybe he feels that a fast repair in that situation would have been a little bit more detrimental to everything that he's trying to do. Dion Phillips still stuck behind. A bit of traffic ahead, though, that they're going to have to negotiate. That's Daniel Bailey there, who's not had the best of days, so he's now going to have to try and negotiate that into the hairpin. Do expect Daniel Bailey to run a little bit deeper. No, he's going to brake very hard to the inside, and Dion Phillips trying to go through. He stops right on the apex. They're not the textbook way, shall we say, to make that one happen, but you can see he tried to get out of the way. Now Coombs and Cruz then trying to get through, and Cruz trying to thread the needle, and he just about does.
Yeah, but that is not actually side-by-side for position right there between Soren Cruz and Ben Coombs, but they're going to do it anyways. We look back towards that battle between Dion Phillips and JPW Ringwood, still single file coming into the final chicane. A slight bit of smoke from JPW Ringwood's right front tires, not going to hurt him though. But, well, we've had drivers try and let lead lap drivers past in quite unconventional positions as, well, we had at Imola.
Yeah, you are starting to see here drivers are looking to try and just get out of the way whatever way they can. It doesn't matter how dirty it is, as long as you are out of the way, it is fine, and you keep yourself going, keep yourself on the island. Some people are playing for minimum points and they just want to see the checkered flag at the end of the hour. Phillips still looking though at the driver of JPW Ringwood and still not close enough, but I do want to highlight this battle for the final spot on the podium. Hackson versus Brazier, the gap 1.5 seconds here, and it stayed 1.5 seconds for a little while, but now Brazier and Hackson are running faster than ever right now, Connery. They're forcing purple lap times out of each other.
Yeah, they are. They're basically trading lap times as Dion Phillips and JPW Ringwood. Oh, there's going to be a pass right there. Dion Phillips going to go through, and JPW Ringwood has to go across the grass. They head side by side coming down into the, what is the third chicane right there. JPW Ringwood, a bit too brave on the brakes, has to compromise his line through the middle and exit the corner, take it across the grass, and as a result, Dion Phillips is going to make his way through.
And Phillips was just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, and he just managed to find that almighty crack that made himself get that way through. So now you look at that, JPW Ringwood down into position number 6. Soren Cruz now all over the back, was about 2 seconds back of Dion Phillips the last time by. Now look at where he is in comparison to the driver of JPW Ringwood, all over the back of him now as he heads through that final section, that final chicane. And you can see again though, that gap gonna come right on down. The gap between Ringwood then and Soren Cruz is just 0.4 of a second into turn number 1. It's McLaren now versus Mercedes.
Yeah, but well, stricken Mercedes. Simon Underhill, Paul S. Martin's battle for P15, and Simon Underhill, oh, very close on the exit of the corner. He's also going to let Bram Reniers through on that one as well. So 2 passes in one corner for 2 different drivers right there. And that was very close on the exit of the corner. Simon Underhill pushing towards the outside of the track. Paul S. Martin trying to cut back towards the inside of the track. There was actually a little tap of contact right there, but not enough to spin a driver out.
Not enough, and that's very, very fortunate for all of them. You can see, if you look at Bram Renier's car right now, it's not looking the prettiest. You can see engine is open for everyone, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see there, the inner workings of what is the car of Bram Renier's right now. You look though at Simon Underhill holding on to things just in a moment. In position number 15, a recovery drive for him, shall you say, after the incident he had earlier on really cost him in terms of this race. Other drivers who this has cost throughout the day, you look at the likes of Tony Baird here, 20 seconds only right now.
Yeah, Cruz is through on JPW Ringwood. He made the pass done. I believe this was coming into... Actually, it was JPW Ringwood, but actually missing a shift coming out of the third chicane. He all of a sudden went quite slow. Soren Cruz blew by on that right-hand side, even before the braking zone of the final hairpin. And that's not a situation where you want to... And actually, we're hearing it's a slowdown penalty maybe for JPW Ringwood. I'm looking back, yeah, at the start of the third chicane right there. He cut across the curb, the first curb a little bit too much, and that triggered the iRacing automatic slowdown penalty.
Easy to do, and that is one mistake that JPW Ringwood couldn't really afford to make here. There is no instant limit as such, but the iRacing penalty system is law here. So now you look at it, now Mathieu van Delden might be thinking there is a good opportunity to get into on this one, because we're now under 15 minutes to go. We're now in the twilight stages of this race, Connor, and Mathieu van Delden, he's only got to catch 2.5 seconds here to the driver of JPW Ringwood, was about 0.6 of a second quicker that last time by.
Yeah, I think that, well, that 54 car of JPW Ringwood is struggling a little bit now at the late stages of this race. He's dropping back a little bit off of the back of Soren Cruz, which is definitely not what he's going to want. He's going to head through that third chicane. Yet again, he doesn't want to do what he did last lap, where he got that slowdown penalty, negotiated fine this time, coming down onto the brakes for the hairpin, sorry. But Mathieu van Delden running very, very quick laps right now, 35.8s compared to JPW Ringwood's 36.5s. And, well, he may come into play in just a couple of laps if that trend continues. Fastest lap of anyone last time by was actually Benjamin Hackson, 0.2 faster than Scott Brazier.
who tenths faster, brings the gap down to 1.3. Jan Letzver then will try and get out of the way then on the straight there towards turn number 3. He will in that situation. Under 12 minutes then left to go inside this event at Montreal. Remember, the next round of the championship is going to be an absolutely fantastic one that you need to join in. We'll be heading to Monza for that one, just to accomplish a racing that we will be seeing on the Saturday, or the Sunday even. You'll be seeing it on the Tuesday as well. So what you now need to see here is everything going on in terms of this event. Irunom's lead is now a quarter of a minute when all is said and done. Hackerson chasing hard though here, Connery, and you know, for all that you can say about his start, for all you can say about that 6th place, 7th place, you know, he's really found some nice form in that McLaren. Maybe the car has favoured him a little bit more. Maybe the balance of performance has gone in his favour, but Hackerson has found a new love affair.
Yeah, and we discussed this at the end of last race during the driver interviews. Benjamin Hackerson having a lot more fun, as he put it, in the McLaren as compared to the Mercedes. And well, in terms of objective speed, that McLaren has been helped by a few build changes as of late to make it a little bit more competitive. And those two things have just come together to mean that our previous series champion is right up there at the pointy end of the field.
Yes, he is right now, as we've just seen Craig Parks then just dive down the inside of what is Ricky Green there. Just trying to get himself through. Parks, of course, 7 laps down here as things stand at the moment. So, you know, Craig Parks really struggling today, and he's going to have to check this one off as another one of those races which he has to just play as one of those things, Connery, where he's dropping a week. He doesn't want to drop a week. He has to drop a week, though. And this is the thing. Don't want to be doing this too many times. You only get 4 of them over 30 races over a season that started in January and is finishing off October, November time. You can't afford to make mistakes like this.
No, and we're 10 races in of a 30-round season. That's about 1/3 of the race is going to be complete once this race is done. And to be using quite a few of your drop weeks in the first 10 weeks, that is not going to be good come the end of the season if you get into more incidents like the one we saw at the early stages of this race at the front.
Yeah, we're looking here at Mathieu van Delden right now. He has closed up and caught the driver of JPW Ringwood. His last lap time was a 1:37.6. Ringwood is struggling here and is crawling towards the end of this race and might not even get a top 10 at this rate here if he's not too careful. The good news for him, though, is about 20 seconds back to the driver of Mike Mason in 10th. So maybe this might be the final overtake then of his event as things stand. 45 seconds off the pace of the leaders right now. The timer ticks away, though. 8 minutes we are heading towards then. Towards the end of it, Ryan Walker's day is all but done as well. That's a shame to see him go out of the race there, Connery. He's always there running around the top 20.
Yeah, he is, and he's going to have to bring that car down for, what is basically logged on the timing as his second, round of pit stop right there, as Mathieu van Delden getting very, very close to the JPW Ringer, coming down the straight. The grunt of McLaren really, really helping him as he makes a little bit of a tentative entry into the final chicane right there, and, he's going to be compromised on exit right now. But again, as I said, the grunt of that McLaren is just going to cancel that out a little bit. Not going to be close enough coming down into turn 1, or maybe he has a little bit of a look, perhaps trying to scare JPW Ringwood into making a mistake, as now he's very close onto the back bumper.
Yeah, but then again, that McLaren does seem to struggle a little bit when it comes to the corners. So you saw that maybe drivers were a little bit reluctant to try and drive it. Now more drivers starting to favour it here as Mathieu van Delden trying to use it to his advantage in through the long turn number 5. Now looking for 6 and 7 on circuit here. This left-right section that goes along. You can see just how that is playing out in terms of his effect. And again, there's a bit of aero push coming into play, Connery. It's forcing him to lose a bit of time. Half of it is down to the fact of the car choice versus car choice. The other half of it is down to the dirty air, the turbulence that you see there. It's enough for Mathieu van Delden to really struggle through the mid part of the lap.
Yeah, you usually talk about dirty air in terms of open wheel, high downforce cars, but you can feel the effects just a little bit in these GT3 cars, especially during the turn 5 of this track. They're very fast right-hander, very narrow as well, so you really have to get the line right through there. As actually Mathieu van Delden on the latter part of this lap is just going to drop back a bit from JPW Ringwood. Not what he really needs right now if he wants to get P7. He only has 6 minutes and 45 seconds to go if he wants to do it.
Battle, though, going on here between Alan McCain in the 10 and JJ Rimmer in the 55. Rimmer's going to go down to the inside for P number 11, and he's going to get the move done here, but the up and under is an opportunity. Alan McCain, though, not brilliant, though, coming out to the corner in that Mercedes even, shall we say, and now he's going to get the toe, though, down the straight. That's the advantage he was trying to do, is trying to dupe him into it. Tony Baird is done for the day, and that is going to be a horrible day then in the end for him. He's not going to get anything from it. Rimmer holds on, though, into the final chicane. Run to turn number 1, though, not going to happen, it seems, for Alan McCain.
No, not going to happen, and he's not going to get the run he needs coming out of the final corner. He'll have a little bit of a slipstream coming down into turn 1. If he's brave on the brakes, he may be able to make a move, as he is deeper on the brakes than JJ Rimmer, but he's not able to make the move just yet. And this is basically a mirror up Simon Underhill.
Yeah, you can see Underhill now in a battle side by side. He's going to go with the driver of Phil Bedford. Bedford just managed to get the position. Underhill loses out again, though, and we'll have to just wait a little bit more then. And you can see Mathies van Delden as well now between JPW Ringwood. Again, back onto the rear bumper with just a few laps to go. 5 laps left then in terms of the event. That's going to be about 3 to 4 laps then when all's said and done. There's a gap, but it's not going to be exercised there by Mathies van Delden. Firmly shut there. The nose chopped off like it was the end of a carrot. And in the end, he's going to lose himself about 7/10 of a second, Connery.
Yeah, but it wasn't helped by the fact he got a little bit of a slide on coming out of the final hairpin as well. But, well, if his pace continues, he's going to be right on the back of the rear bumper of JPW Ringwood in the not-too-distant future, as we have 5 minutes to go during the course of this race. Scott Brazier is actually setting some very fast lap times, 0.3 of a second quicker than the leader. That's not going to be enough. He has a 13-second gap, and that is, well, pretty much impossible to surmount right now. Van Delden, though, still very close to the back of Ringwood, and this is a challenge that someone can surmount.
Don't say impossible. Nom could find a wall, and it's so very easy to do in the last 5 minutes of the race. Underhill side by side with Bedford again, looking at the inside then, just in front of your leader here of what is Iru Nom. Underhill will have the inside, will try and hang the man out to dry, and like yesterday's washing, he does exactly that. Oh, he gets a tap. They both take a tap out of the wall of champions, and then you see now Simon Underhill just manages to break away from that. Very, very fortunate, the pair.
Yeah, Phil Bedford definitely coming off worse of those 2 taps into the wall of champions. But looking back to this P7 battle between JPW Ringwood and Mathies van Delden. Van Delden's very close. He can perhaps make his way around the outside of the hairpin. JPW Ringwood taking a defensive inside line. JPW Ringwood's going to push wide. Van Delden's going to make his way down the inside. And oh, there's a little bit of door contact coming out of the final hairpin. They're going to make it too wide coming out of that particular corner down the back straight, Jake.
Gear ratio versus horsepower, and horsepower's winning. Van Delden has absolutely everything on the far right. On the far left is Ringwood, who now has to surrender it. So a very, very good work then from Mathies van Delden, forcing the mistake in JPW Ringwood and getting the position as a very, very nice reward towards the end of the race. And you had to say there, Connery, JPW Ringwood has been akin to making a couple of mistakes like that here today, and that's what's costed him the difference between 3rd and 8th.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think that's the first time he's pushed wide during the hairpin either, so perhaps not confident on the brakes coming down into there, especially with a driver as aggressive as Mathies van Delden all over his rear bumper. And now Van Delden's just looking to try and get away for a bit right now, coming towards the end of this race. 2 minutes 50 seconds to go. The battle for P2 is all, well, it's all subsided right now. Scott Brazier still has a little bit of traffic ahead of him, of Martin Galenki and Anthony Marsh. He has to make his way by them, but Benjamin Haxton's just dropping back a little bit too far to challenge coming towards the end of the race.
Yeah, and you're seeing another little battle here from drivers 1 laps down. That's Jan Letzever then, who's lost the position to Captain Cook. Cook's gone through, and he will take that position then when all is said and done right now. Timer on the clock says 57 minutes and 32 seconds. So that's 2.5 minutes then. That's 2 laps then left of your event right now as things stand in terms of this one. So when you look at it, though, still looking though here, still some battles going on. Van Delden and Ringwood have not given up. JPW Ringwood takes some credit on the result. He'll try again side by side. Now he's got the inside, but again, doesn't have the grunt that McLaren does as they head themselves towards the final chicane. And again, Mathies van Delden is going to hold on to things.
Yeah, this is the reason why I said Van Delden has to try his utmost to get away right now. You don't want a driver all over the back bumper coming towards the final couple of laps in this race. Is such a very high pressure situation with Martin Galenki, though. He's had a bit of a problem. He's down pit road for his second time right now. We'll have to see what has happened to him. It looks like some front end damage to the front end of that Synology car, and it was a little bit of contact with the wall in the first chicane and a little bit of contact with another driver afterwards. That was with Daniel Bailey.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted when all was said and done. You look at this, though, Van Delden still trying to pull away here from Ringwood. Ringwood's got to be nice and concise. He knows the car is a little bit better through these sections, these sweeping corners. And again, though, on the power, Van Delden just seems to have got a better 0 to 60 time. That's enough for him to get away. Better acceleration compared to JPW Ringwood, and more torque in the vehicle is enough for him to really get away then. The white flag will be out this time by, though, for Iru Nom as he looks to try and start here one more dominant lap, as it is so synonymous with Iru Nom. So far it has been this season. Again, though, Ringwood's trying to get close, but at the moment not close enough when all is said and done. You look still, though, at drivers who have done incredibly well over the day. Craig Williams there in 4th position, like Soren Cruz up into 6th position, but still, though, you look at everything going on. Van Delden just about has that gap for the moment here on the driver of what is JPW Ringwood. Ringwood will be able to close, but how much? Probably not enough at this stage right now. On the brakes they go into the final chicane, and for the moment, no, not going to be close enough for JPW Ringwood, but he will have that one more lap to go. Rounding, though, the 3rd chicane is the driver of Iru Nom. Just got that 3 more corners left to go. That hairpin, that synonymous hairpin that we saw Robert Kubica have that accident about 10 years ago. On the brakes he goes into the hairpin, tuck it down at 34 miles an hour, get yourself onto the power and have a 14-second buffer to do it. And well, for Iru Nom, it has been sensational once again. Broken away at the early part of the race, keeping himself there at the mid part of the race and just making sure it was easy at the end of the race. It's 10 races that have been done. Well, let's just say that half of them belong to this man. Round the final chicane, does the driver of the 41, Iru Nom, will dominate once again. Take a bow, my son. You take the victory at Montreal. A well-deserved victory for Iru Nom. 2nd place, then further back, will go to the driver of Scott Brazier, who needed a bit of fortune. It didn't work for him. Ben Hackerson, the reigning champion, can only manage the final spot on the podium when all was done for him. But that battle we look back further to, Van Delden and Ringwood here, Connery, and Ringwood has half a chance.
Yes, he does. And, well, earlier on during that lap, Matthijs van Delden was held up by a little bit of lap traffic. There was almost contact between the two drivers in the early stages of this lap, but I don't think JPW Ringwood is going to be anywhere near close enough coming towards the finish line unless Matthijs van Delden gets this final chicane wrong. This is the most important chicane of his race, and he's going to get them perfect. He's going to be coming across the line to take this 7th place, and JPW Ringwood has to settle for 8th position.
Yeah, he does here when all is said and done. You can see the timer just ticking away for everyone then. The final lap of the race, everyone just trying to get home then to the last few edges of this track. And you can see the likes of Phil Bedford will be the last of the cars on the leading lap. 15 cars only on the leading lap. I will say, though, there hasn't been too much of an attrition factor around here for the 37 cars of this event. So what we can do then for you is we're going to try and get the results for you up on screen. Your final results, well, they finished a little bit like this. Iru Nom then will take a 1 hour and 41 second victory then in terms of race time overall. He'll take it by 14 seconds in terms of the car behind over Scott Brazier, his own teammate. Ben Hackerson will come home in 3rd, the reigning champion, with Craig Williams, the driver of the day, surely going from 14th to 4th. Dion Phillips will come home in 5th position, with Soren Cruz there with a great respectable drive into 6th. Mathieu van Delden will take it in the final few minutes to get past JPW Ringwood. Neil Bamber will come home in 9th position, with Mike Mason a quiet drive inside the top 10. JJ Rimmer then will come home in 11th position, issues early on for him. Alan McCain jumps up 11 positions to finish in P number 12. Jason Dilworth is P13. Simon Underhill will come home in 14th in the 007 machine. There's Phil Bedford, last of the cars in the leading laps in 15th. And then the cars that would be lapped here today, likes of Paul Martin, Ryan Atmore, Taylor Lane having a good drive back through the field, likes of Bran Reniers and Captain John Cook. Jan Letzever struggling with Gentleman John Roberts, going absolutely nowhere. Daniel Page having a few spins today. Ben Coombs there getting himself up a few positions, just staying quiet towards the rear of the field. And then you see the likes of Anthony Marsh, Simon Jackson, Ricky Green struggling. So did Gelenke, so did Chris Butterill, so did Tony Baird, so did Craig Hart. And that will really hurt their championships. Drivers who failed to make the start today were Roel Huben and Jonathan Beresford. For the time being, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to step aside and take a breather ourselves. When we come back, post-race coverage to you, brought of the Synology GT3 Championship. After these few messages, don't go away.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green!
Dominance was surely shown here this evening as we saw a brilliant one-hour race here around the circuit of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We were in Montreal for what was a fantastic showing of what driving was all about, and your race winner Iru Nom surely showed that the race victory was there in his pocket. Joining him right now is Iru Nom. Iru, you have to say, you're in a position where you're fighting here. You're looking to try and get yourself into the championship. It's your 5th win in 9 starts, and you have to say it's working the way you want to.
Yeah, that was good, but I think I just got lucky. I got away in the first lap and avoided the incident there. But I think Tony was pretty fast, maybe even faster than me today.
Well, you did see Tony Baird there in terms of the battle in the early stages. You were trying to get yourself around the outside in terms of lap 1. You managed to make the move, but in the end, the drivers behind him, Parks and Baird, came together. For you, you managed to break away. You got that gap. You're just continually adding on to it. And even though you had drivers behind who were quicker than you, do you feel that you managed to control the race the way you wanted to?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I pitted early because I saw the traffic ahead. I came out of the pits and lost 2 seconds still in the traffic. So
Well, you lost 2 seconds, but in the end it would be a win by a quarter of a minute next time out next week. Heading over to Monza, so back over into Italy for you. And well, Monza is a very similar circuit in many respects to this one that we're going at. What is this circuit? A circuit Gilles Villeneuve. For you, is there not too much that you really need to change on the setup?
the setup has been very tough for me after the last update, and I've been looking for the setup for the last 3 weeks, I think, and it's very tough, especially in the chicanes here. And next week, Monza, I think it will be a little bit better, less curbs there.
Less curbs to deal with, but for Iru Nom, it will be a race victory. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to?
Yeah, thanks for the league and thanks for my team.
No worries, short and sweet as ever. Iru Nom, then a race victory there. Connery, hopefully we will have the driver of JPW Ringwood standing by. He will be there with you if he is there.
Yep, and if he is, it's going to be JPW Ringwood. Not really the best day at the office there, Mr. Ringwood. Well, we qualified 5th, finished in 8th position, so a couple of places down on your qualifying position. And you were battling with the likes of Dion Phillips, Craig A. Williams, Soren Cruz, Matthijs van Delden coming towards the end of the race right there. And, well, from my perspective, it looked like you were struggling with a little bit of damage in the second half of the race.
Seems that we can't quite get JPW Ringwood here for the moment. But Connery, you know, we're heading over to Monza for what is next time out. We're looking at a circuit which is very similar in characteristics. You look at the Variante del Rettifilo, you look at Ascari, you look at likes of the Parabolica. There's a lot of characteristics about that circuit being very historic that is very, very similar to, say, the likes of a circuit, say, as this one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that also is going to be what is basically the domain of the McLaren. That's going to be Benjamin Hackerson's best chance at getting another race win during the course of this series. He already got one race win, perhaps unexpectedly, at Imola. Not really going to be the McLaren's strong point, that track, but at Monza, it's basically the home of the McLaren with that insane straight line speed. So it's going to be a fight between Benjamin Hackerson and Iru Nom at Monza. I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, it is here, and well, for the time being, you know, we're going to try once more here to get JPW Ringwood in here. JP,
Hello,
good day at the office, though, but it seemed to just fall away for you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a picture of me following Aeronom, I think, just to capture that moment. Yeah, I don't know what happened, really. Didn't really translate the qualifying pace to the race pace. Picked up some damage as well, and sort of just went backwards. Quite on, really. But,
yeah, it just fell backwards for you a little bit. So for you, next week, how's it going to fare for you?
no idea. Hopefully another sort of top 5 qualifying and see if I can maintain it in the race.
Well, JPW Ringwood then just struggling then when all was said and done, dropping himself back there in towards 8th position then towards the end of that one. But Connery, I'm afraid that's all we're going to have time for here, ladies and gentlemen. A big thank you to all the drivers and to all the teams that have been participating, and to all of you who have been patiently waiting and watching from wherever you are around the globe. That has been Connery Maddock to my left-hand side. Paul Smith's been sitting patiently behind the cameras to my right, and I have been #DoYouMind Jake Sperry. When all is said and done, Nom is 5 in 10 in terms of overall race victories, 5 in 9 with the race he missed. But of course, that's just 1/3 of the season. There's still 2 more thirds to go. Don't forget, Blank Pan action coming to you this week. You have to check it out. It's kicking off all over again. Redline, Coanda, Pure, Core, Inex, all the kitchen sink will be in that one, as will Friday Primetime, as will the Skip Barber Race Series, the Raven Graphics Contender Series, and later on this evening, NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series from Texas Motor Speedway. Join Evan and the gang for that. We'll check you out though here on Racebot TV in the very near future. Good night.